Terpenes and the entourage effect.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
It is, right? I mean, everyone loves a good smell, right?
Exactly. And that's where terpenes come in.
Okay, so let's start there. I have to admit, I don't really get what terpenes are exactly, like chemically speaking.
So basically, they're these volatile aromatic compounds. It's just a fancy way of saying they evaporate easily and give off a strong scent. Terpenes are why plants have their own special flavors and smells.
So, like, a rose smells like a rose because of terpenes.
Yeah, and a lemon smells like a lemon. But get this, those scents aren't just for us to enjoy. They actually do things in our bodies, like on a molecular level.
Wait, really? It's not just smelling nice?
Nope, not at all. They can actually bind with a bunch of different molecules in us. And it's all because of how they're built. They're made up of these units called isoprene units.
Isoprene units, huh? Sounds
Right.
complicated.
Well, think of them as Lego blocks, molecular Legos. These isoprene units can connect in tons of ways, making all sorts of terpene structures. And that's why they can interact with so many different molecules in our bodies, like receptors, enzymes, even cell membranes.
So one little terpene can have a bunch of effects.
Exactly. And that brings us to receptors. Think of those like locks on our cells.
So terpenes are the keys that fit into the locks.
You got it. When a terpene binds to a receptor, it can activate it or it can block it. If it activates it, it's called an agonist.
Like it turns the lock and opens the door.
Perfect analogy. It sets off a response inside the cell. Now, if it blocks the receptor, it's called an antagonist.
So it's like putting tape over the keyhole.
Exactly. And that's a big reason why terpenes can have such a wide range of effects on us. Like linfilol, the one that makes lavender smell so calming, it acts as an antagonist at NMDA receptors. These receptors are involved in excitatory neurotransmission. Basically, they ramp up brain activity.
So blocking those receptors would calm things down.
Precisely. It's like turning down the volume on all those signals and you feel relaxed. Now, on the flip side, there's caryophyllene. It's in black pepper and cloves. Caryophyllane's an agonist at CB2 receptors.
CB2 receptors. Those sound familiar.
They're part of the endocannabinoid system, the ECS, that system that's all about regulating inflammation and pain.
Right, right.
So caryophyllene, by activating those receptors, can help with pain and inflammation.
Wow, the spice in black pepper can help with pain. That's wild. Is there like actual science backing this up?
There have been some pretty cool studies, not in humans yet, but they show caryophyllene can actually reduce those inflammatory markers. And here's where it gets even cooler. Remember all those different terpenes in plants? That leads us to the entourage effect.
The entourage effect, right. I've heard that term, but honestly, I'm a bit fuzzy on what it actually means.
It's the idea that these compounds, like terpenes and other plant compounds, they all work together. And get this, they create an even greater effect than they would on their own.
So, like, teamwork makes the dream work.
Exactly. It's like a band. Each instrument sounds good solo, but together, it's a whole new level of awesome. And a perfect example, cannabis.
No, we're talking.
Cannabis has tons of terpenes and cannabinoids like THC and CBD. And while THC and CBD do their own thing, their interaction with terpenes changes the whole experience.
So it's not just about how much THC or CBD is in there. The terpenes actually affect how those cannabinoids work in us.
Totally. That's why different strains can feel so different even with similar THC or CBD amounts. It's the terpenes mixing things up.
This is blowing my mind. I always wondered why some strains make me chill and others make me, like, super energized. Could it be the terpenes making that difference?
You bet. The terpenes in each strain are like its fingerprint. They contribute to its unique effects.
Okay, so we've got all these terpenes working together, maybe even boosting each other. But what proof do we have that this entourage effect is real?
Well, that's where it gets a little tricky. The entourage effect is getting super popular, especially with cannabis. But to be honest, the hard science in humans is still catching up.
So, more of a theory right now.
Not really a theory. There's a lot of evidence, both from people's experiences and some science, that backs it up. Like, many people who use cannabis say they feel different effects from different strains, even if the THC levels are the same.
Yeah, that makes sense if terpenes are part of the equation.
Exactly. There have also been some exciting studies. One found that a full-spectrum CBD extract worked better at lower doses for epilepsy than just CBD alone.
Interesting. So the research is still early, but there are signs pointing to this entourage effect being a real thing. This makes me look at cannabis totally differently.
Yes.
It's not just about THC or CBD. It's a whole symphony of compounds that can affect us in amazing ways.
I love that analogy, and that's why understanding terpenes is so important.
So let's get into some specifics. What are some of these terpenes and what do they actually do?
Let's start with mycene. It hangs out in hops and mangoes. Remember that couch lock feeling some cannabis strains have?
Oh yeah, like glued to the sofa.
That's mornsing in action. It's thought to be sedative and relax muscles. It's basically nature's chill pill.
Okay, so if I'm looking for something to help me unwind, I should look for something high in mycene.
It's definitely a good starting point. But as always, talk to someone who knows or do your research first. All right, now let's talk limon. Pretty obvious, it's in citrus fruits and gives them that zesty aroma.
Limon.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm already getting a mood boost just saying it.
And you might be right. There's some evidence that limon can actually boost your mood. In cannabis, it's usually in those strains that are energizing and get the creative juices flowing.
So if I need a little help with a writing project, maybe a limon-rich strain is the answer.
Could be worth trying. Okay, moving on to pine, found in, you guessed it, pine trees. Also, rosemary and sage. It's got that fresh, invigorating smell.
I love the smell of pine needles. It's so grounding and refreshing.
Well, pine might be doing more than just smelling good. Some people think it actually helps with memory and focus. There are even studies that suggest it can help you feel more alert and fight off some of that brain fog that THC can sometimes cause.
So pine's like a brain booster. That's pretty cool. Yeah, this is making me think maybe I should be getting more of these terpenes in my life, not just from cannabis.
Exactly, and that's important to remember. Terpenes aren't just in cannabis. They're everywhere in tons of plants and foods we use every day.
So I can get the benefits even if I don't use cannabis.
Absolutely. You can have a cup of chamomile tea. It's loaded with linalool, that calming terpene we talked about. Or add some black pepper to your food for a dose of pain-relieving caryophyllene.
Wow, I'm starting to see terpenes everywhere now. It's like a whole new world has opened up. Okay, so if terpenes can change how we experience cannabis, could they be doing the same thing with other herbs and plant medicines?
That's a great question, and it's something that researchers are starting to look into. There's a growing interest in how terpenes could be contributing to the effectiveness of all sorts of herbal remedies. For instance, there are studies looking at whether the terpenes in lavender can actually make it work better as a sleep aid.
So the whole entourage effect thing, it could be much bigger than just cannabis.
Precisely. It's like we're looking at plant-based medicine in a whole new way. Instead of just focusing on one single compound, we're starting to appreciate the power of the whole plant, all those compounds working together.
This is eye-opening, really. I'm so glad we're talking about this. It's like a whole new frontier of wellness.
I couldn't agree more. And the exciting thing is, we're just scratching the surface. There's so much more to learn about these incredible compounds and how they can help us feel better.
Speaking of scratching the surface, we've been talking about all the good things about terpenes, but are there any downsides? Anything we should watch out for?
That's a great question and an important one. Terpenes are generally considered safe, but it's crucial to remember that they are strong compounds. You got to use them responsibly. Just like with anything else, too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. High concentrations of some terpenes can cause irritation, and some folks might be allergic.
So like anything else, moderation is key.
Exactly. Start with a small amount and see how you feel. And, of course, if you have any concerns or you're taking medications, talk to a doctor before you start adding terpenes into your routine.
Safety first, always good advice. It's just mind-blowing to think that something as simple as the smell of a plant can have such a big impact on our bodies and minds.
Isn't it amazing? It shows how connected we are to the natural world. Plants have been our partners in health for ages, and terpenes are just one example of the amazing wisdom they have to offer.
Okay, I'm officially on board. Where should I start exploring the world of terpenes?
Aromatherapy is a really fun way to start. Try out different essential oils and see which scents you like best and how they make you feel.
I love that idea. It's like an adventure for your senses. Any recommendations for newbie?
Lavender is a classic for relaxation, and citrus oils like lemon and grapefruit, they can really lift your mood and give you energy.
Okay, those are going on my shopping list. Any other tips for someone just starting out?
Pay attention to how you feel when you smell different things. Keep a little journal. Write down what you experience and note which terpenes seem to work best for you.
Love it. I feel like I'm taking control of my wellness journey now, armed with the power of terpenes. This deep dive has been amazing. Wow, we've really gone deep into this world of terpenes, haven't we? From their chemical structure to how they can make us feel better.
It's been quite a journey. We've seen how these tiny aromatic compounds interact with our bodies, playing a big role in the entourage effect and changing the way we experience everything, from cannabis to even just a simple cup of chamomile tea.
It's truly amazing to think that these little molecules can have such a big impact on us. It's like this hidden world of plant power, right?
It really is. It shows how deeply connected we are to the natural world. Plants have been our allies in health for centuries, and terpenes are a perfect example of the wisdom they hold.
It makes you realize there's so much more to plants than meets the eye. I've always loved the smells of flowers and herbs, but I never really stopped to think about the science behind those scents or how they were affecting me.
It's like a secret language we're just beginning to understand.
Exactly. And the best part is we can use this knowledge to feel better. Whether it's choosing a specific cannabis strain based on its terpenes or adding more lavender to my life for relaxation, it's like having a whole new set of tools for well-being.
I love that perspective. It's about taking charge of our own health and wellness, and that's what this deep dive has been all about, giving you the knowledge to make smart choices.
Absolutely. It's not just about blindly following trends, it's about understanding the science behind the scents and making choices that work for us.
Well said. And remember, this is just the start. We're still learning so much about terpenes and the entourage effect. There's new research coming out all the time, and it's super exciting to see what the future holds.
I totally agree. It feels like we're entering a whole new era of plant-based medicine where we can use these compounds in even more targeted and effective ways.
It's a really exciting time to be exploring the potential of terpenes. I hope this deep dive has inspired you to keep learning and experimenting.
It definitely has. I can't wait to explore more and share what I've learned.
That's the spirit. Sharing this knowledge and empowering others to experience the benefits of these plant compounds is the best way to honor them.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into terpenes and the entourage effects, well, thank you for being here and sharing your expertise. I've learned so much.
The pleasure was all mine. And to everyone listening, thank you for joining us on this journey. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep embracing the power of plants.
That's it for this episode of The Deep Dive. Until next time, stay curious.